Hey everyone, this is Dan, and I'm here with Jack from Strangelove, and we are excited to show you something that we've been working on the past year called Packet-Forward Middleware. So I'm going to start off throwing it to Jack. Can you talk a little bit about who Strangelove is and why you built Packet-Forward Middleware?
Hey, nice to meet the Dora Hacks folks. Strangelove is a development shop as well as an investor that has worked really hard to help bootstrap the Cosmos ecosystem and in particular IBC. My background personally was as a product manager for the Cosmos SDK, the Cosmos Hub, and IBC at launch, along with Akash and Sommelier and the Gravity Bridge and a couple of other networks like Noble that we've helped bring live. Due to that experience working deeply with IBC, one of the biggest issues that we ran into was the ability for users to unwind assets. And you may know this problem from other bridges where if you move USDC over a bridge in Ethereum land, say from mainnet Ethereum over to Polygon, that's not fungible with the native USDC that's issued on Polygon. Or it's not fungible with Ethereum USDC that you moved over from Avalanche. You have to move it back to Ethereum and then move it over to the other network. In Cosmos, because we have this native bridging technology called IBC or inter-blockchain communication that every chain uses, this problem is much greater because this is the major way users use tokens throughout the ecosystem. They move them over IBC to these different application-specific blockchains. So this problem of having the correct representation of the asset becomes much more prevalent. And this is what Packet-Forward Middleware fixes. It allows you to basically re-follow your path across your bridges and go to where you want to go and get the proper representation of the asset on which chain you want in an automated way, and it abstracts some of those transactions from the user.
Thanks. Can you explain a little bit about like what teams are using Packet-Forward Middleware and kind of like what their user experience was like before and now after that they've integrated it?
Yeah, so there's a large number of teams that are using Packet-Forward Middleware. The number of front ends like ibc.fun, TFM, I believe is what it's called, and Skip, which allow you to seamlessly move assets across the interchain. Previously, those transactions that they would create for you required you to sign multiple times. And with PFM and other middlewares that have been sort of modeled on top of PFM or built on top of Packet-Forward Middleware like Swap and Forward, that's deployed on places like Duality and Osmosis, this allows you to do all of those things in a single transaction where your intent gets forwarded to these various chains and they take actions on your behalf.
Gotcha. Can you elaborate a little more on intents?
Yeah, so intents are sort of a fancy way to say, I'm going to signal my intent. I want to have this asset over on this chain. And to start off, I've only got this asset. So a concrete example, let's say you have Ethereum on Ethereum mainnet and you want Osmo on the Osmosis chain. There's a number of different ways where those assets could be moved and traded in order to get to your final desired end state. And what intents are is a way to sort of describe this flow. You would break that intent down into a set of concrete actions, and then those actions would be executed on your behalf. So, for example, in that example, we would potentially trade the ETH for USDC over on Ethereum, move that USDC over CCTP, and then use IBC to move the USDC over to Osmosis and trade over on Osmosis for your Osmo. And that's how that would work. And what Packet-Forward Middleware and other middlewares do is allow that to happen in an automated way.
So it sounds like you're saying that PFM is extendable outside of Cosmos as well too, where you're saying it's connecting to things like Ethereum and other chains. Can you talk a little bit about that?
PFM is only an IBC, but what we're seeing increasingly is these bridging protocols being used together by front ends to provide a coherent end user experience. And that's something that we've worked really hard to do with CCTP is help it be able to hook into IBC in a way that makes it easy for users to only sign one transaction and have a much more complex set of tasks executed on the back end.
Gotcha. So I know PFM's been in the works the past year. Do you feel that this thing is production ready for people to use and start experimenting with?
Yeah, so it is broadly used in production today. It's actually been around for more like a year and a half. There was, I believe it's proposal 58 on the Cosmos Hub, 52 maybe. Yeah, I think it's 58, where I put this up and we passed it, and it's been used on the Cosmos Hub for quite a while. Through the last couple of years, we've been able to find a couple of minor issues with it. We shipped fixes, and Strangelove supports this piece of software in production on tens or I think there's dozens of chains using it at this point. It's one of the more broadly used pieces of IBC software out there.
Gotcha. I'd like to transition to a little bit about open source funding in general now. So like, why is it important that people support open source and in particular, this piece of software? Like what will it enable? Like how will it help facilitate Cosmos and just blockchain adoption period?
So I think that the world that we want to see is a world in which these systems are permissionless to use and anyone can come use them. And they're this sort of neutral substrate that enables much more complex financial transactions and businesses to run on top of it. And if that's the case, that infrastructure needs funding. You know, as things get used, they decay, they take on new requirements. It Maintaining software takes time and effort. And if we as a community don't pay for those things, they're going to end up getting bent to the will of whoever is paying for them. So this type of open source public goods funding is incredibly important if we want the systems that we're building to reflect the values that we share.
Oh, great. Final question is, if people want to get involved, where can they learn how to build with PFM or to see how it works?
Yeah, go to the GitHub. I believe it's Cosmos/IBC apps. And there's more information on Packet-Forward Middleware there. There's also links to other examples of middleware, like the ones that I mentioned on this show. And you should be able to go check that out and use it. Also, I believe we've got a Telegram room. Get in touch with us on Twitter. Come talk to the Strangelove folks about it. We're happy to help you out and figure out how to use it and build it.
Great. Yeah, and I'll make sure to have all those links in our Buildle profile. So if you want to, you can click those. Jack, is there anything else you would like to leave us with?
No, thanks a lot for the time, Dan, and thank you to the DoraHacks reviewers. Really appreciate your time and looking at this application, and we look forward to working more closely with you.
Great. Thanks.